In this video, I'm going to discuss the 20 things that I have done to make my A-liner work better for me. These are things that I've done to just make life easier, camp setup, and things I've done over the last couple years to make the A-liner work really well for me. A lot of people have different brand campers, and they also have different models, so a lot of this stuff won't apply to you, but some of this stuff will apply to almost all the A-frame type campers. So let me know what you think of some of these ideas, and at the end of the video, make sure you look, and if I haven't brought anything up, put it in the comments about things that you may have done to make your camper more functional for easy camping. One of the things that I've done to make my life easier with the A-liner is I've added this backup camera. If you check out one of my YouTube channels, you'll see how when I added that under, it just makes it easier to back up. It's relatively easy anyway, but that makes it even easier. Another thing I've done is I added plugs to the outside of my camper. I put an extension cord out to this, and then I have a plug here on this side and a plug here on this side. Some of the better models, mine's just the A-liner Scout Light, have an actual outside plug, but mine didn't, so I've added these plugs. Another thing I've done to make my setup easier is we leave our bed set up all the time. This doesn't work for everybody, but in our case it does. And we also added this drawer down here. That way we can utilize all that space. Another thing we've done, and like I say, some of the premier models of A-liners already have a bathroom set up, but ours didn't, so we've made it a lot easier by adding a bathroom toilet in here that actually pulls out, slides in and out. That way you can get it out of your way because you're only limited on space. Another thing we've done is we changed up the configuration of the drawers and the storage. And when we first got this model, this is the Scout Light. It had a weird door here that actually opened up, and we converted this into a drawer, which made things a lot easier. And then this side here didn't have anything, and it just had a wall here, and we went ahead and converted that into additional storage we could get to really easy. Made our own door there. That made life a lot easier. Another thing I've done to make life easier with the A-liner is that I had a cheaper model that doesn't have the doors here, and the Rangers or some of the other models have that, but the Scout Light doesn't have that. So I added these doors. I added them on the back here, and this is where I have most of my kitchen stuff because I don't actually have a kitchen. So I've got most of my dishes and stuff like that in here. And then I also added one over in the front, which is nice because it utilizes that space that goes around through the whole front. So that's just the length, goes to the length of the camper. So that one really comes in handy. Now the only space I'm not really utilizing much is the storage that's around in here in this back section. Most of it's electrical anyway, so I'm not using that spot. That's about the only spot I'm not using. Another thing I've done to make it easier is I've added this, what they call a jackie up. What this does is when you get it on if you've got a small vehicle, I had a CRV, now I've got a Ridgeline, but if you're putting that on there, sometimes this wheel, you can't jack it up far enough to get it. You got a hump drive or anything, you can't get this up far enough to get that wheel off. In this case, this whole assembly turns after you got it mounted to the car, and it just pulls out, and you put that in the back of your vehicle, and you don't have to worry about that hitting the ground or anything, and that works out really well. Another thing I've done to make things easier for me, and some people have storage up front here. Some of the older models had a storage bin up here. They had a lot of leaking problems, and you don't see them as much as they used to be on some of the older models. But I've added this, just a cheap container from Walmart, and I've put my battery box inside of there, and I've left holes that way it vents. And the thing about this is it's not really completely weather tight. So the main thing I use this for is I have like the rugs that you step down off the step onto. I've got my electrical hookups, I've got water hoses, pretty much electrical, and then I have my actually my chalks are in there, and just things that don't matter if they get wet. And they also that battery puts off acid fumes, and so it would eat up something if you had metal in there. So you want to keep that, just stuff, the outdoor stuff for the most part goes in there. Another thing I've done, which like I say, some of the other models might actually have these, but the cheaper models don't have these levels. So I added levels going this way, and then I also got them going the other way. I found without having a refrigerator, a lot of times you don't have to worry about the up and down this way. It's mainly this way you're worried about. As long as it's not too far and your head's not too high or your feet above your head or anything like that, you don't have to do too much to this way. Now I did put one up here, and that was kind of a mistake. I haven't taken this off. This one here doesn't give you a true level, because when that thing's folded down, it's not quite even. So if you're going to install these, make sure you put them one on the side, one on the front, and that gives you a pretty good idea of your level. Okay, another thing I've done to make my life easier here with the Aliner is I've added I've taken an old shelf. A lot of people put a lot of shelves in here, and I don't like to have a lot in here to take down. So I just took an old shelf, and I just cut the legs off and just gave myself a flat area over the sink, because I don't use the sink, and some people that have this type bottle don't use the sink as well. So we piled some stuff in the sink. Ideally, if I ever had one of these older, I don't even think I'd have the sink in there, but we use it just somewhat as a storage. And then, like I say, with this over top, it gives us all this space on top. So that's made things a lot easier. Another thing I've done is I went ahead and added a table right here. Like I say, this little table just folds up, matches in place, and that comes in real handy, because like I say, I don't have my full table up all the time. I don't even use it at all. So this gives us a place to eat. My wife, she's over in that bed there, she'll just eat on this counter, and then this gives me a little platform to eat or work on a laptop or whatever you want. So that works out really well. And that was a pretty simple project to do, and most A-liners have this wall here that you could do this with. Some people on the bigger models do have a actual microwave on this side. Mine's in this cabinet here, but it opens through the cabinet. So that if you had that kind of setup, you couldn't do that. But for most part, this can be used on almost any A-liner. Some people actually will have the couch set up, and then they'll put one on this side. And the A-liner actually makes a model that has two fold outs on this side and over on this side. And but it's something to think about if you want to add an extra table like that. Another thing we've done to make our life a little easier in the A-liner is we've put hangers up where we think we could use them. Like I say, we have one at the end of each bed, and that way we have a place to hang our clothes or a jacket or something. Have a little hook here, and we got one at this bed, and we also have one down here at the end of this bed. It just gives you a place to hang a jacket, or sometimes I'll hang a shirt up there, whatever I need, and hang up there. So that works out really well. Going on that same theme of hangers, we've got things where it's convenient to get to. One of them we have is we have a flashlight just as you go out the door. Have it hanging on the little command strip hook, hanging right there. One other one we have is we have two little hooks right here. And those are for our keys. So what we have is we have one camper key that has all of our keys on it. We'll put that on one of them, and the other one is for my car keys, because a lot of times my wife needs to get in the car, maybe I've gone to the bathroom or whatever, so that gives us a place to put our keys right there, right by that door. Another thing we've done to make our life easier is we've added this three-way. This is a a plug that goes into the little 12-volt plug on the side here, and this one splits it out and makes it 3. Then we've added additional USBs on this one here, but it gives us more places. And then we can also turn this on, and this one here actually has a thing we can test our battery voltage on it. So that's kind of the way you want to do things. If you can get something that does multiple things in a small space, that's the best way to do it. Another thing we've done to make our life a little easier is we've tried to convert everything to where it's an LED or some kind of way that can be charged up, and then we don't have to be plugged in. We don't boondock a lot here in the east, but if we did, we pretty much are set up pretty good. We have this light here that has a little battery base in it. Basically, it's an LED light, and it's several different shades. I mean, it actually goes to light to dark. And then we have this outdoor light that charges solar, which anytime you get solar, it's pretty good. We always leave them in this windows to keep charged. We even have a emergency radio. It actually has a weather band on it, and it has a strip on the top that keeps it charged. It has an internal battery. It also has where you can add batteries into it, which is pretty nice. This one even has a crank on it where you can actually crank it up and it'll charge it up if it's low. But anytime you can get anything that runs off 12 volt, it's better for the Aliner setup. So we've tried to go that way. We even have these little lights here. We charge these before we go out. These are just charged off a USB, and they work out pretty good. Another thing we've done to make our life easier with an Aliner is we've tried to make everything where it's not so much piled in here. Some people put a lot of storage. They put up stuff here, and they got to take all that down before they fold the walls down. We've tried to keep this to a very minimum. We've just got this little shelf here that we have to set down on the floor. That little basket there. A few things that are up here. This here sets in place. So we pretty much fold that down and we're ready to go. We don't have to do too much. We keep all of our bedding down low. Keep all of our storage down, and that way this floor doesn't get too cluttered, and it's really easy to put the sides up. We can have this done in a really quick time versus having all that stuff to tear down and worry about. So we seem to have plenty of room without having to worry about extra storage. We originally had all kinds of shelves up and things like that, and we decided we really just didn't need that. So just having a few minimum things that you have to put down on the floor before you fold up makes things a lot easier. And again, that's a personal preference, but that's what we've found that works out good for us. Another thing we've done to make things easier for us is most of the campers, Aliner campers, they come with several plugs inside. We've got one underneath it here, and we have one here. We've actually split this one out and got a setup where it has 6 plugs, and it also has, this one has USBs on it. Obviously that will only work if you're hooked up to shore power. And we have also added an extension cord that goes around and around back to the counter here, where, like I say, we use it for our electric blankets to plug in our lamps. So we plug everything back there, that we don't have all these cords up here in the front. So that's worked out real well for us. Another thing we've done to make our trips more enjoyable as far as comfort is we've added memory foam to, let's say, here's our normal pads, and we've added, my wife has I think it's a 4 or 5 inch memory foam on hers, and I think I've got a 3-inch on mine over here on this side. Like I say, there's your normal pad here, and then it's just, I think it's a 2 or 3 inch memory foam I have on here. So we tried it without, or at least I did, and my hips were digging in pretty good, so that really made things more comfortable. You set it in better. This bed here has a tendency to be it's kind of narrow with the Scout Light, and so it helps out to have that kind of hold you in one place.